They had a nice conversation. Chittaranjan Das was a great leader by that time, national leader, very well-known figure, towering personality. Governor was very respectful. Das said, Mr. Governor, the people elected us as the municipal council, and I'm the mayor. They're paying taxes. It's our duty to utilize the taxes well. I want a municipal commissioner of my choice. They called him chief executive officer in those days. The governor was a little taken aback. Calcutta was the crown of the imperial, the jewel of the imperial crown.
True.
The biggest city in the capital until 1911, big city. They couldn't understand how this man is asking for his own appointment. He said, fine, because Das was a man of great stature. He humored him and said, all right, you pick up any ICS officer of your choice, I'll give him. He said, no, I don't require an ICS officer. I will pick up any citizen of my choice. Because the governor already half committed, he could not go back. Therefore, he said, all right, Mr. Das, go ahead, do it. In the full confidence that it will never happen and it will never succeed. Das picked up a 27-year-old young man as the municipal commissioner of Calcutta city. That young man did a fabulous job. He earned the gratitude and the respect of the people, the municipal council and the British government. 9 months later, he was jailed for his participation in freedom struggle, nothing to do with the municipal work and nothing to do with corruption. Because he participated in freedom struggle, he was jailed. Das went back to him. He said, look, my commissioner did a great job and you all acknowledged it. He is jailed for another reason. He is now in Alipur jail in Calcutta. Now, that's a different point. I'm not going to argue about that. That's your law and I fight it as a freedom fighter. But I'm on to a different point. I am entitled to have a commissioner of my choice. He didn't do anything wrong in his job. In jail or out of jail, I want him to be my commissioner. I don't care how you do it, you do it. You know what the British government did? They gave an extraordinary order. It's still there in the archives. They said, as long as this young man is in Alipur jail, he will continue to be commissioner of Calcutta city. And his orders will be orders of the commissioner. The files will be circulated to him in jail every day. That order was implemented until he was moved to Mandalay jail later on.
So what I'm hearing is, it's finally about trust. It's about having the faith and the trust that people connected with the grassroots are the actual people who can deliver.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I'm not recounting this story to give a message that those who are jailed for corruption can continue to be secretaries to government or chief secretaries or ministers, etc. That young man, 5 years later, he became the mayor of Calcutta city himself. That young man, 14 years later, became the president of Congress. A year later, he was re-elected against Mahatma Gandhi's wishes. He was the founder of Azad Hind Fauj. Subhash Chandra Bose. That was the origin. In our own history, there are spectacular examples. Unfortunately, after freedom, constitutionally we created the first two tiers, the union and the state. We didn't bother about the local. We made some anodyne noises, some usual noises, but without really creating a third tier. And because of partition and other things, we centralized government too much, and eventually the second tier came into its own in the last 25-30 years. But in the process, we have two powerful vested interests, the MLA in the state and the IAS officer. Both these people feel if power is now given to the third tier, my God, we are now totally enervated. And they genuinely find 1,000 reasons why it should not be transferred. They say they are bad, they are incompetent, they are corrupt, they are this, they are that, which is humbug.
We're going to go in for a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about our young people. We keep talking of our demographic dividend and the young people. So are we just training them for BPOs and KPOs and, you know, to kind of be, well, hired labor for capitalist countries? Yes, they earn an income, but where do they earn something within which is true to who we are as individuals? All that and a lot more after this short break. Stay with us.
आइसक्रीम खाएगी?
आइसक्रीम ये है डबल आनंद। पहला आनंद पॉलिसी टर्म के अंत पर मैच्योरिटी क्लेम का पूरा भुगतान और दूसरा आपके अपनों के लिए लाइफ कवर की पूरी रकम बिना किसी प्रीमियम के। LIC जीवन आनंद, आनंद ही आनंद।
मेरी फिटनेस का सीक्रेट प्रिया गोल्ड मारी लाइट बिस्किट जो है 89.9% फैट फ्री। लाइट खाओ, लाइट रहो।
मानती ही नहीं थी ये पैंटीन और हेयर फॉल की प्रॉब्लम। पैंटीन ट्राई करने के लिए फोर्स करना पड़ा?
मानना ही पड़ा। 100 बार ब्रश करने पर भी हेयर फॉल की 0 परेशानी।
खुद ट्राई कीजिए, आप भी मान जाएंगे।
पैंटीन PNG।
एक खुशहाल और उपयोगी जीवन के लिए चाहिए मन की शांति, इसीलिए मैंने चुना LIC। LIC से आता है जीवन में सुरक्षा का सुर, तो कहीं और क्यों जाएं?
तुम्हें जरूर कोई चाहतों से देखेगा, मगर वो आँखें हमारी कहाँ से लाएगा।
जिलेट गार्ड किफायती दाम में, 1 रुपए में 1 शेव। गार्ड का फ्लेक्सिबल हेड आपके चेहरे के अनुसार एडजस्ट करे और आपको दे सुरक्षित शेव। सिर्फ 1 रुपए में 1 शेव। गार्ड जिलेट की ओर से।
गोल्ड ऑफर वाला गार्ड रेजर या 3 ब्लेड का पैक खरीदे और 10 ग्राम सोना जीतने का मौका पाइए हर रोज।
एक खुशहाल और उपयोगी जीवन के लिए चाहिए मन की शांति, इसीलिए मैंने चुना LIC। LIC से आता है जीवन में सुरक्षा का सुर, तो कहीं और क्यों जाएं?
कुछ ना होता, बस सिम बॉर्डर बदलेगा।
चौंक गए? नींबू और चंदन की खुशबू वाला टाइड नेचुरल्स सिर्फ 10 रुपए में। एक बार देखे तो देखो, इसकी सफाई तो देखो, अरे मिसेस के मुलायम हाथों को देखो। 10 रुपए वाला हरा टाइड नेचुरल्स, छोटा दाम बड़ी खुशी।
Welcome back. We're still in conversation with Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan, who calls himself a kid in a quest for the development of human potential. What does he want to do and how does he want to do it? Let's talk to him. Dr. Jayaprakash, we keep talking of this demographic dividend and our youth. And earlier you spoke about how we need young people to bring about this change. How do we see our youth? Are we willing to move away and let them come in?
At one level, there's a fantastic opportunity. India is truly blessed. At one time, we used to think population is a huge problem. I remember at the age of 18, way back in 1974, as a medical student, I wrote an essay, really, about the need for compulsory sterilization in India.
Okay.
That was the kind of anxiety as a youngster I felt about the population explosion. But as time progressed, two dramatic things happened. A, population actually is getting contained. You take Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Punjab, Delhi, Haryana, many places. Population is now reaching stabilization level. We have a problem in some pockets, but even there is significant improvement. So people know that in pursuit of their own happiness, they must have fewer children, as long as there is some degree of confidence that these children will flourish. That's all that they need. Two, the young people today have much greater sense of confidence, a sense of self-worth. You know, I was born about a decade after freedom. While we all rejoiced free India, we still grew up in a climate where the white skin was superior, and the Europeans and North Americans were great, and we were all somehow, you know, while we were saying that Bharat Mata and all that, somehow we were not up to the mark. That was, there was always this feeling. But now you actually see the swagger and confidence and the feeling that we can beat anybody, whether it's in cricket or in information technology, whether in entrepreneurship or in some other endeavor. We can make it happen. They're no different. Again, it's a fantastic gain. But the tragedy is, while maybe about 10 to 12%, maximum 15% are able to fulfill in a substantial measure their potential, the bulk of the youngsters have no realistic future unless we radically change the way things are. In other words, what should be a demographic dividend is now potentially turning into a demographic nightmare. We have to recognize it. When people talk about India having the second largest technical manpower pool, I really don't know whether to really scream or to shout. Because yes, we have the potential, but our engineering graduates, they work very hard to get into engineering. There's a very intensely competitive process. They work 16 to 18 hours a day, but we are giving them third-rate degrees. They're just pieces of paper. We have a mechanical engineer who is not taught the skill to actually deal with the machine. After mechanical engineering, if the father says, look, I bought a scooter or a car, the car is giving trouble, to get it repaired or do something, he will take this car to a mechanic. Who is the mechanic? An illiterate chap who worked with another mechanic for 6 months. It's not because the kids are deficient. They are doing their best. We really have messed up our education, both school and higher education.
And it's all the more dangerous because there you are giving them an expectation of employability.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, without education, oftentimes, you made a very, very important point. Anywhere in the world, as a general rule, the greater the educational level, the better the employment prospects. Unemployment is lower with higher education. In India, it's a dramatic fact. If you're illiterate, you're fully employed in India. Your income is not adequate, but no illiterate person in India who is willing to work is unemployed. If you did your school, you are still employed, but a little less than the illiterate. If you went and did your +2, you were more unemployed than the school kid, school graduate. If you went to college and got a degree, you were even more unemployed. If you got a postgraduate degree, you were more unemployed. With more education, there is more unemployment in India because they become unemployable. And the things that you could have ordinarily done, that now is a little beneath them, and therefore, you are neither here nor there. It's a tragic situation. And you create an inverted pyramid. Instead of having lots of technicians and skilled people and then technologists and so on and so forth, we have more engineering schools, engineering graduates in this country than your ITIs and polytechnics. You have more doctors in the country than nurses. No other country in the world has this unique situation.
And how stable is an inverted pyramid?
Absolutely. So, it's something that our society and the educational institutions themselves and our policymakers together have done. It's not the kids and parents. The parents are doing enormous work. They're willing to bear any sacrifice way beyond what you have a right to expect of them. In no other country do you say a poor rickshaw puller willing to spend 1,000 rupees per kid in the hope that the child will have a head start. I have seen many such people. 500-600 rupees is perfectly the norm per month. Any number of places. No other country do we see this kind of a pattern. Nowhere, not one exception. And in no other country do kids work harder than this at school and at pre-college levels. They are doing their best. This is what is asked of them, they are doing it. It's not their failing at all. The educational institutions and the policymakers together have messed up so badly that we really have to stand before the bar of history. We have to answer to the next generation how much we have messed up their lives. A university, by the word itself, carries the word of universality. And our universe is limited to our caste and our village and our. The fellow does undergraduation there, postgraduation in the same college, university, then so-called PhD. Most of them PhDs, I'm sorry to say this, are really, they don't stand the scrutiny of any serious academic rigor. Then they become assistant professors, vice chancellors, they die there. Take one simple example. Almost all the great universities in the world, without any exception, if you are a scholar from that university, as a rule, you cannot become a faculty member there. You go back to another university. In exceptional cases, if you are top of the line in the world, you are a Nobel laureate or something close to that, there is nobody equal to you, after 10-15 years you may come back in a rare case. Here, it's totally incestuous, academic incest.
You know, we're the brightest race in many areas. We have huge, deep roots of culture. We have a very strong spiritual bent. All that is there. I think most of us grew up with a lot of these things we take for granted. What happens to our vision?
I think somewhere our quest for degrees as opposed to quest for real opportunities and knowledge has overtaken us. Look at Radhakrishnan. A kid born in Tirutani in Tamil Nadu had early education in Tirupati and then in Tamil Nadu in Madras Christian College, became a philosopher of note, became vice chancellor in Andhra University, a Tamil kid in Andhra University.
Okay.
Went to London and then became a Spalding professor of comparative religion. Came in 1939 to Benares and became BHU vice chancellor. I mean, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, Tirutani, Andhra University, Spalding and BHU.
How enriching.
Exactly. So, we had that. In our country, we had that not too long ago. We messed it up. We can easily recapture that. There is absolutely no need to despair. If we really begin to understand honestly what has gone wrong, we can change it. We can bring a relationship between the environment. You do political science in India, you don't understand electoral registration. You don't understand electoral corruption. You don't understand money for votes. You don't know why it is happening.